So I don't want to steal your thunder because I want people to come out for this men's conference, and it's going to be Saturday, June 14th. I'll give all the relevant information at the end of this interview, and so I don't want to steal all of your information, but I do want to touch on the issue in hand, and one of the things that I started this conversation with, and that is this idea of, no, we're going to do this group here because these fathers fall into, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm posing the question. We're gonna deal with this group of fathers over here, and we're gonna gather together because we all come from a similar profile, and we're not gonna go and sit in this group over there because they're of a different profile, educationally, occupationally, the list goes on, and then maybe we'll come together once or twice a year if we come together at all. That tribal approach to fatherhood. Can you speak to how beneficial if so, or detrimental? Speak to the effects of that on us trying to create this healthy community of fathers so that we can, as you talked about earlier, passing things down by generation so that we can pass this healthy outlook on fatherhood down to the next generation. What does this tribalism do to that process?
Yeah, it undermines everything. Let me just say, it is quintessentially destructive. It is something we need to dismember as quickly as possible. And part of that is, I'm going out on a limb, making some specific statements about something that could be generalized, okay? Because every personality is different. But what I tend to find is, and you said the word tribalism, which is what I agree. If I talk to, let me go back to what I said about where can I exhibit my manhood? In this tribe, this is mine, and you can't come in. This is how I do it because I'm looking for controls, okay? Not recognizing the whole idea of village, that I need every one of us to be working together, rowing in the same direction, if you will, so that we can uplift everyone. And so part of that is just personality quirks, if you will, and limited understanding in what we're trying to do. If I'm talking to those men, I would say this for those from a Christian or believing standpoint. When Jesus Christ was baptized, the next thing that happened, people missed the fathering aspect. It said, open, a dove descended, fell on Jesus, and you heard a voice. The father of Jesus said, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." The question is, what did he do that was so pleasing to God that he would crack over the sky and talk? He's just my son.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. He's my son. If you look at that out the Gospels, you will find that Jesus is just this wonderful son. Why? Because I'm the Son of God. But right after, you know what Jesus does? He gets up, I'm baptized, he drives off, and the next thing he does, Marcus, is he finds 12 men. Because I can't do this alone. I cannot do it alone. And we got to get men to understand that you are not in this alone. And although I'm God, I need your help. And so, and they came from all various backgrounds. Okay. Some, like, we wouldn't pick these dudes at all. They were just crazy. And so your criteria is are you connected to the vision of fathering? Do you want to improve families and communities? If we all can agree on that, then we can roll. But if you have your own agenda for your own tribe, and a lot of this has to do, again, if you go back to the 60s when we were looking at changing the African-American communities, a lot of that was connected to who's going to get the money. And one of the things that helped communities but also hurt us was community block grants, because now we're all competing for a limited amount of money. Okay. And so I can't work with you because you might get the money and where am I at? So it's every man for himself. In fact, Malcolm X said, it's interesting that the oppressor would take one steak, divide it up. I mean, wouldn't divide it up, but would just throw the whole steak into the pit and let the dogs fight over it, when he could have cut it up and gave it to each dog. Let them fight amongst themselves for these scraps, if you will. Yeah. And I kind of see that. Is there money associated with fathering programs? It depends, because it ebbs and flows. Okay. But I got the secret sauce, brother Marcus. I know how to do fathering.
Hmm.
And again, not recognizing there are so many different types of fathering. For example, you do not teach fathering to men in prison the same way you would with a middle class father who's in an intact family. You
Hmm.
don't; those are two different challenges. And
Right.
so, somebody who's steeped in the understanding of what it means to be a parent in prison, or somebody who's got different struggles in the community.
Yeah.
And so, we need everybody. We
I,
need
I,
everyone.
I want to go after that because along the same vein as the original question, I think
Mhm.
what happens is whether we do this intentionally or unintentionally, there is the syndrome of my black is more authentic that we all tend to fall in. And whether it is this group saying, listen, my black is more authentic because, I got the ear of the street. I'm in the street. I'm in the hood. I'm part of the hood.
Right.
You disconnected from my black is more authentic. This group over here is saying, listen, like Martin and I'm educated, and
Uh-huh.
it's all about uplifting our people educationally. That's the route that I've gone. My black is more
Right.
authentic, right? This person's in
Hmm.
politics for so many different reasons. We find ourselves, and whether we say it overtly or we just continually make statements that kind of
Hmm.
validates the fact that this credential of mine makes me more authentic and the community needs to hear this voice. What do you say to us as black men in terms of the necessity of edifying and validating all of these different experiences and not trying to elevate one over the other?
Yeah. And there is a historical context for that. We say the house
Yes,
and the
and the
field.
field,
Yeah. Yeah. Dark skin, light
light
skin,
skin.
educated, uneducated. This whole chasm between we're all members of the same group. I'm a pass for white, blah, blah, blah. So there's a whole historical context to this understand. And again, if that's the way you were socialized, don't be surprised what you produce. One of the things that's real interesting, and I take great pride in it, although you can't be humble if you mention it. So there's the humility going out the window, is I don't use the term when I'm dealing with fathers. I never introduce myself as Dr. Baker, because once again, it interferes with relationship building.
Hmm.
And so I'm you and you're me, whether I got more education or not. Just read more books, we'll know the same stuff. But I'm where I'm trying to connect with men is, and you said this earlier, and it's so important, the narratives that we hear the stories, because when I hear your story and you hear my story, you're going to find that we have a lot of things in common and we can help each other. But if we talk about your education and my education, they will be different.
Hmm.
And then somehow I have to defend these different positions. So part of coming together again, and it really, again, I don't want to go too far off topic, but think about building a car on an assembly line. No one person builds a car, right? There might be an owner, but we have specialists who do the tires and do the windows and do the engine and at the end of the assembly line, we got a car, or we have a healthy child or a healthy family. That's how we have to get men to think about it. Your piece is one piece in this continuum of building healthy families, elevating the entire community. So don't think that your piece is more important, because I ask people all the time, this is one way of getting people to think about it. What's the most important part of a car? And most people say the engine. It makes sense to me until I say you don't have a key, or you don't have any gas, or one of your tires are missing, or like all parts are important at a different point in time. And
Yeah.
so let's not try to elevate each other, to try to, like dissing each other, to make my church, my pastor, my history, my blackness, whatever, more important than yours. Because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, that's so irrelevant
Yeah.
to the bottom line, that where we're going, what we're trying to do. Like, okay, you're better than me. What did we move the needle anywhere? You feel better, but we didn't do anything.
Mm.
So,
That is a wonderful note to end this on. This men's conference is Saturday, June 14th. That is from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. If you want to know more about it, you can call Second Baptist Church, and their number is 814-456-6874. That is Second Baptist Church. Keynote speaker will be Dr. Paris J. Baker. We certainly appreciate your time today.